Putin's Chechen ally calls for Russia to nuke Ukraine after there's a Russian retreat from the city of Lyman. But now the Russians consider this part of Russia now. So that's what we have to keep in mind here, that Putin actually vowed to defend this new territory, Russia now, by all means. Will there be a retaliation for the attack on the Nord Stream gas pipeline? My friends, we are in a very dangerous place right now. Russia has raised the bar for a greater conflict, and Ukraine and the West are not backing down right now. We're in a very dangerous place. We're coming toward a collision of worlds. And to me, it looks like we're heading full throttle toward a global mayhem, perhaps World War III, maybe even nuclear. My friends, we got to get ready. This is Greg Ellison. I am here to help you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive, to bring you content and information, help you to get ready, to know that you got to get ready. For that reason, you subscribe to my channel, bang the notification bell, and click all. And if we do get a nuclear conflict, guys, I got a whole playlist with very detailed information on how to survive in a nuclear conflict. And so the most important information is what to do in the first 24 hours, the second 24 hours, and then all the other survival information in that playlist. And I really highly advise you to go look at it, my friends. So, and stay subscribed and check back my channel. Make sure you're getting these videos. I'm trying to bring you clear information, clear analysis on what's happening, why it matters to you, not to lay blame on one side or another. Right now, it doesn't that much matter. What matters is what you may be having to face right here, right now. You forget all that other hubbub, who did what. What matters is what's coming. What matters right now to you is what you got to get ready for. All right, my friends. Yeah, and part of that is I got a special right now running 20% off this long-term food. Go to prepwithgregs.com. This is lightweight. You can bug out with it. Your kids can carry this stuff. It's so lightweight. My friends, 2,000 calories a day. This is a 2-week supply. We got a 20% off deal right now at prepwithgregs.com. You will find that in the links below, that you can get a 3-month supply of this for 20% off. It's 2,000 calories a day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner will be a winner for you, because, guys, and if you can't do this, go out and buy extra beans, extra rice, extra can of soup, or whatever you can get to carry you through. Now, I'll tell you what, a pouch of that stuff is twice as much servings as this, and it's not as hard. It's easy to bug out with, but you might find a few cans of this cheaper to start with. But my friends, that'll last longer. It's easy to carry, easy to bug out with. So, and you got to consider overall, you look at the price, it's still cheaper than buying food to cover that period of time. So check it out, my friends. If you can handle it, do it, but do whatever you can, because you got to get ready right now. I mean, anything you can get. Look at what you use on an everyday basis. Friends, when this hits, you're not going to go to the store and buy anything. By the time you get there, it's going to be cleared out. You need to see my video on the toilet paper preppers I did when I was going to Sam's Club one night. Thought I was going to get coffee supplies. It was real late. I thought I was going to get there and be by myself. Right at the beginning of the pandemic, if you remember. I went in there, and the whole parking lot was full. I walked in the store, and there was lines from the cash register all the way back to the back wall. And that's a big store. And every cart was loaded up with toilet paper. And I looked, and I busted out laughing. I did a video. I thought it was hilarious. A lot of people got mad at me about that. Oh, Greg, you're laughing at other people's misfortunes. No, it's the lack of planning. I've been telling people prep for a long time. I didn't have to go buy a cartload of toilet paper. All I want is coffee for a coffee fund at work. All right, my friends, enough said about that. Let's get on this topic here. Yikes. Oh, yeah. PrepWithGreg.com. Let's get on the topic here, guys. We are in a perilous time. So here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Putin's intent first. What did he mean by taking in these districts? I think he has laid a trap. The bear has laid a trap. The bear has laid an eagle trap. Think about that. An eagle trap laid by a bear instead of a bear trap, or a trap for the entire NATO, but mainly America. He always points to America ultimately. And right or wrong, when you take sides or not, let's look at what happened and what is the beginning. Let's look at his strategy. So we all know, you've heard for the past couple of days, and you knew it was coming. So, there wasn't no need in me banging a horn on it, because you knew this was coming already if you watch any channels at all, that Putin did his little referendum, and he had 4 oblasts of Ukraine. That's the political sub-districts in Ukraine and in Russia calls oblast. Well, that's one. Russia has some other political subdivisions, two bigger ones. The oblast, it's kind of like a county in the United States, or maybe a state, but more like a county. Oblast. So these different oblasts supposedly voted to become part of Russia. Now, I would think Luhansk and Donetsk might have voted to join Russia, but Kherson, Zaporizhia, I seriously doubt that that was majority of the people voting in favor of Russia. You know, I said I seriously doubt. I didn't say it didn't happen. I'm not taking sides here, but just given what I've seen and heard, I really wonder about the outcomes of those elections. But that's neither here nor there. You know, you can get caught up in the nuts and bolts, and you'll fail to see the strategy. Don't get caught up in tactics. You know, strategy is how you win. And this was a brilliant strategy from Putin for him to do what he intends to do. Putin does not plan to stop. He does not plan to lose. He does not plan to quit. And this gives him what I'm about to explain to him, gives him the excuse to take it to the next level. Essentially, by claiming these areas as part of Russia, and now saying, oh yeah, if you attack this, you're attacking Russia, it's a matter of sovereignty now. So it may not, look, the West denies it. They're not looking at it. They're not buying it. It don't matter. He's doing this for the benefit of his own people. He's doing this for the benefit of those that are already allied with Russia. He don't care what we think anymore. Yeah, they may get some opinions over here and create some division and some support for what he's doing, which lessens our resolve to counter it if that's what we should decide to do. I'm really highly questioning all the money we're throwing over there right now. But that's another topic. I really, and a lot of people here are really wondering why we're throwing so much money into that when we're having the problems that we're having here. But like I said, we won't go there right now because this is about what might come at you. It ain't about he did this, she did that. I'm explaining Putin's tactic, what Putin, his strategy, his big strategy. See, by claiming these areas as part of Russia now, since they voted to be Russia and they voted to accept it, and they signed treaties with these little subregions where they're puppets they put in charge of them, that they now can say this is Russia. In their eyes, it is. And now he's got the excuse of his people that now if these places are attacked, that you're attacking Russia. Now it's the defense of Russia, maybe even the existential existence of Russia. But there's other things that takes it to that level, not necessarily this in our eyes, but then again, we're not talking about how we see it from our eyes. You're talking about how you see it from Putin's eyes, from the Russians' eyes, from those people there. So the thing, my friends, is this. They have upped the bar significantly. Now they can claim defense of their own country and full mobilization of their forces and no longer special operation. This could go way beyond that real fast. And he's already taken steps to marshal a lot more troops. You know, the 300,000 call up that he put out there may be a 1 million man army coming into force. Well, really and truly, invading army definitely needs a 4-to-1 advantage of the people that are invading. Now, he went in there against the Ukraine army, the 100,000 with 200,000, but Ukraine quickly marshaled up to about 700,000 people, recruits. They drafted and raised a big force, which was bigger even than the invading force. And that's a number that don't work for an invader unless they have a strategic advantage in technology and weapon systems, which Russia should have had, given what they had. And they did initially, and they were really withering Ukraine with artillery until the HIMARS came into force and really hit their back, hit them in the rear area, their supply lines, and took it out because their supply lines for supplying ammunition was not efficient. I've talked about that in other videos, so I won't go any further here right now on that. If you want to see that, check out my other videos or ask me about it. And if you want me to cover that again, I will. Okay, now, all that said, guys, what it boils down to is this. Russia is now putting more forces out there. Now, it's probably going to take a few weeks to really get these forces in play. Some of them have to be trained. There's supposed to be a lot of reservists coming in, people that were already in the military. There's still going to have to be a little, hopefully, for them, a little extra training. I don't know. Some people say he's just putting people straight on the front lines. You know, look, there's a lot of propaganda out there. I don't know what the case is. You would think that he's going to put these people out there in the rear areas where a lot of these 200,000 troops, only about 30,000 are actually on the front line. Most of the troops are actually maintaining order and under these places that so willingly want to be a part of Russia. Okay. Yeah, I might see like parts of Donetsk and Luhansk, but Kherson, Zaporizhia, I don't know, guys. But anyway, So they're trying to maintain this order, and they had about 330,000 on the front line. Well, now they can move that rest of their forces to the front line and have these guys in the rear, then bring in more perhaps to the front line. They will have to have a lot more frontline troops if we're really going to maintain their territory and possibly invade farther. And the bets are that they're going to push farther, probably, if they get enough forces out there, if they can get an advantage. Now, see the down thing. What this really boils down to is this. Can Russia win? Now, what just happened is this. Ukraine took Lyman. They took one of those cities in it's out of Russia. What's now what Russia considers part of Russia. The Ukrainians took it. So Russia now looks at that as an invasion. Yeah. So Ukraine retaking one of their own cities to Russia is an invasion of Russia. And they succeeded. So you expect some recall. Now, based on that, the Chechen leader, Ramzan Kadyrov, he basically come out and urged Russia to use low-yield nuclear weapons based on that alone. So the urge, the call to use nukes is already out there, my friends. Don't mean it's going to happen, but it's out there. So here's what Ramzan Kadyrov had to say. He said, more drastic measures should be taken. Use every opportunity and every weapon to defend our territory. Kind of funny to hear that from a Chechen, considering that Russia was, had to invade and reconquer Chechnya at one time. There are Chechen rebels that still like to break away from Russia, but that's another story. All right. Well, Kadyrov further went on to say this. He said, in my personal opinion, more drastic measures should be taken up to the declaration of martial law in the border areas and the use of low-yield nuclear weapons. So he actually said, he spelled it out. Russian former President Medvedev has also directly called for the use of nuclear weapons. What Putin has said has been a little bit more veiled. And of course, there's a couple of Russian officials, so we're not going to use nuclear weapons unless the existence of Russia is directly challenged. So you go, okay, then that's off the table. Well, not exactly, because Ukraine, Zelensky, president of Ukraine, says he wants to punish Putin. The only way he's going to punish Putin is if he captures him and puts him up for trial, war crimes. That would require the capture of Moscow or a revolution in Moscow that would turn these guys over. So that is the existence of the state in the eyes of the leaders of that state. So you remember, I've always said this, that these people of power, they care about their own power, not their own people. It's the preservation of their power, their control that matters, not the land and the people therein. So you got to understand what they're talking about the existence of Russia. It's the existence and maintenance of power by them that are in charge of it. That's what they always mean in any of these countries. So that's what little Kim's worried about. And that's why the new law says if he gets taken out, the nukes fly. It's all about them personally. It's not about the country. Of course, if you nuke the country, they would definitely respond. But, at least one would think. So, my friends, this is the kind of stuff we're looking at. And you might expect further retaliation. You remember that little thing about Nord Stream? Of course, Americans say the Russians did it, and Russians are saying America did it. And maybe it really don't matter as long as either side could use it for the excuse they want to promote whatever agenda they want. There's all this propaganda out there. I'm still really hard pressed, though, to understand how a country that invested $10 billion in developing a pipeline that's probably now irreplaceable given the situation in the world would want to destroy their own pipeline with all that investment, because it's a future huge profit center. If all this comes down and Russia can flow gas again, you're talking hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars in revenues that could be going into Mother Russia from the use of this pipeline. Now it's kaput. Of course, you got to remember, right after this thing went boom, and it did measure on the Richter scale, 2.2 or 3, maybe higher than that, but it didn't measure on the Richter scale. And furthermore, immediately after this thing was blown, the Polish government thanked the United States for doing it. How they know? How do we know Poland didn't do it? See, there are vests. Germany didn't want it to happen. Russia probably didn't want it to happen. And there's another reason for that in a minute. But Poland, so you got to remember the countries that were last under Russian control, Soviet control, are the ones that hate the Russians the most. And I'm not advocating hate, guys. I'm just telling you, look, I know some of these people. Holy smoke. You know, I got some friends that are Estonian, and wow, they will fill your ears full in a minute with just so this is what they're looking at. They don't want to be part of the system. They didn't want oil and gas going from Russia to Western Europe because they didn't want Russians to be making the money off of it to fuel their military machine, which they see themselves as next in line to be hit. Poland, Russia, Latvia, Poland, and the Baltic nations, Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania. They see themselves as next in line to get the brunt of whatever Russia would deal out if they get past Ukraine. Just saying, whether you think this is going to happen or not, that's what they say. And it fits within the Catherine the Great, you know, kind of philosophy I was talking about earlier, how Russia wants to fill in the gaps all the way to the end. Peter the Great, Catherine the Great, those kind of things. You know, Putin would like to be able to follow in their footsteps if he can manage to do it. I don't think he can pull it off, but he's certainly given it a try now, or at least he was. Now, here's the other thing you got to bear in mind. Putin's got to have a victory, at least what he calls a victory. Otherwise, his political survival is at risk. Again, what I tell you earlier, it's the political survival of these things that are at risk. If his political survival gets at risk, yes, I think that he would be far more likely to use tactical nukes at first, and then it could really escalate because the Western side is really putting it out there that if he does this, we're going to do something. We're going to react. Well, that reaction is what? Troops? What is it going to be? Is it, as you know, we're already at the red line. Now we're talking putting a, you know, hey, look, guys, back to this thing with this missiles with the HIMARS and with the MLRS system, the M270, the M142. Guys, what we're talking about here, we didn't give them the longer range missiles because we didn't want the Ukrainians to attack Russia. But now that they, with any missiles firing in that territory, they automatically are attacking Russia. So see, we got a new gray line here, just like we're already supplying equipment that is in the minds of Russians attacking Russia. And Zelensky is asking for that ATACMS missile. I showed content earlier in video showing what that ATACMS can do. Ooh, that ATACMS is very capable. It's if you think what we gave them so far is amazing, forget it, man. That ATACMS is, ooh, guys. Yeah, that would have Russia smart if we give them ATACMS, and they may be coming now that, you know, suddenly Russia's claiming all this territory, and it's like bets are off. So are we about to cross that red line with Russia? Have we already crossed that red line with Russia? What does Russia do when we cross the red line? Do they go to the next level? What is the next level? How does the escalation begin? How does it propagate? These are things you have to consider. And we don't know the answers yet. You know, we can come here as armchair pundits and pontificate all day and all night long, and you see them doing it on TV, and you'll see that the world's top experts arguing vehemently with each other. They're usually all wrong. So, yeah, or whatever it is, you know, you'll see the top level military analysts and experts and PhDs and heads of think tanks going head to head, you know, on all kind of talk shows on the network news cast, and usually both sides are wrong. But anyway, that's another story. So, friends, this is it. We don't truly know how this thing can escalate, but it definitely can escalate. And we're considering talk about pathways. We could talk about what could happen, but our you know, my crystal ball for looking in the future is not as clear as this one that's shining my lights in my center bottle. So, yeah, guys, the thing is that all bets are off. I hope and pray that it don't come to that. That's what we got to do. We got to just hope and pray that this don't happen. But I'm expecting further retaliation. So this Nord Stream, let's go back to Nord Stream before we get down there. This was an attack on infrastructure. I kind of left that and I didn't finish that line of thought there. This was an attack on infrastructure, Russian infrastructure outside of Russia, perhaps done by the United States, perhaps. This could be the beginnings of another infrastructure counterattack. And that can lead to another infrastructure counterattack. What kind of infrastructures are at risk? Well, if the United States did it, our infrastructures here might be a risk. Yeah. And what's critical infrastructure I worry about the most is our power grid. Having chaired 2 power grid defense conferences, got tons of video on this topic below. That's one of the things I worry the most about. But there's many infrastructures we got to worry about. Our own gas pipeline. Remember the Columbia gas pipeline went down? How it really crippled the southeast and all up into the north on the coast? Yeah. Who did that? They thought Russian hackers did it. Was anything destroyed? No. But next time it could be. I mean, could hackers destroy a pipeline? Well, they could potentially if they caused a pressure spike in the pipeline. If you could cause something to happen, they just run the pumps real hard all at once or something, to jam a lot of pressure in there. It's possible that it could have been hackers. But you know, there was drones. The Finns claimed, no, it was actually the Norwegians that claimed that they saw a bunch of drones off the coast of no, it was Sweden. They saw them off the coast of Sweden, a bunch of high-level drones in the areas of some of the critical infrastructure for Nord Stream. So was that part of it? I don't know. Could be propaganda. But my friends, the thing is, expect tit for tat, expect retaliation to start saying, I got to go back to that Nord Stream thing for one other thing. One of the reasons I have a hard time seeing it as a Russian attack is because on the Russian end, they got a lot of wellheads up there in Siberia and cold areas. If these things aren't pumping, if they're not active, then a lot of those lines will freeze and break because they're down in the permafrost. And once all this stuff starts freezing and breaking, Russia don't have the wherewithal to repair it. They used American oil experts to fix those the last time after the Russian wall fell, and they went in and spent several years and a lot of money revamping a lot of this stuff. And it was Americans that went in, American know-how, American oil companies, and Russians just don't have that. It's not what they got, believe it or not. So if this stuff cracks and fails, then Russia has suddenly lost a big chunk of their key bread and butter. So why would they shoot them? Why would they go out and kill the goose that's laying their golden egg? Don't make sense. Unless they really want it as an excuse to further the war. See, and to further the war. So in the final analysis, the thing that bothers me the most is this whole thing with the annexation of these territories is Putin's excuse to ratchet the war up to the next level. That has to be what it is. He now can claim by us hitting them that we got a counterattack. With more forces, he can draft his guys, he can send more military in there. And at first, it probably would be conventional. But if they're losing, you can expect it to go up to another level. Will it be nuclear? If Putin is fearing for his political survival or his actual survival, the chances of nuclear grow much larger. And a lot of analysts are saying they're just getting bigger by the day. Greg Allison's not saying this is going to happen, by the way. I'm just saying these are the things you have to be concerned with. These are possibilities. These are good reasons to prep. But even if you prepped and went and bought some extra groceries and put some more in your cabinet and none of this happens, you be thankful. But also, you've got a new added benefit with food shortages coming, which are coming, and with inflation coming, which is coming. You just made the best investment you want to make, because your dollar is going, and the price of food going, whoop, it's better than gold, as long as it don't get stole. Don't let it get too old and get ate up by the mold. Put it down here in your tummy hole, or get stuff that's going to last till it gets old. That's what you want to do. That's why you go to Green Grades, Pretwell Grades, excuse me. So there you go, my friends. Get ready. Greg, how can you be laughing at all this stuff going on? I've done as much as I can do. I've got garden. I got greenhouse. I've got the best prepper business in the world, worm farm. Because when it goes down, everybody wanting to garden or go fishing or feed their chickens is going to need worms. You can do that too. Go to Greg, go to greengregs.com. Order worms, greengregs.com. That's why I'm not too worried. Well, yeah, I'm worried, but I'm not going to sit here and chew my fingers off over it. I've done everything I can do. I've been working for years to try to get the power grid hardened. And knuckleheads in DC and in the industry don't want to listen. Well, you know what? It may be too late. It may be too late now. It may already be too late. because it takes years sometimes to do some of this work. We don't have years anymore. Don't look like it. It looks like we're down to months, maybe weeks. I don't really think it's in the span of months. Our grid may be going down. You may never see me here again after the grid goes down. You probably won't, because it won't be power. I'm of the opinion that once those big transformers are gone, that's it, my friends. It ain't coming back. You know, that's what you hear from somebody. Oh, we'll put the grid, we'll fix things again. No, you won't. I've covered why that won't happen. I've discussed in great detail why that's not happening. This is Humpty Dumpty. When he falls off the wall, forget it. Or my friends. Maybe I should do a special video just that focused. So that's what it boils down to. Just remember, prep and pray and hope for a better day. You know, these things don't have to come to pass, but the problem I got is this. Russia has upped the ante. They're not negotiating. Zelensky would have been better off he had negotiated earlier. He would have only lost Luhansk and Donetsk. Now there's Kherson and Zaporizhzhia that the Russians are taking. It's going to be much harder for them to take those back. Much harder, maybe impossible. Because in the end, can Russia win? Can Russia win? Can they win? You know, I know some people like Lee Wilbarger. Oh no, they can't win. They've already fallen. They're crashed. They're done. Their history. They're going to crumble totally because they're corrupt, incompetent, and their stuff's made of tissue paper, spit. Well, look, Russia's got way more people, way more factories, and by the old wars of attrition, which is how the United States won every one, was by outproducing the enemy. How are we going to beat China? Given that, huh? Blockade where they can't produce. China's got to import everything, all the raw materials. But that's a war. It takes time. And if they go nuclear, forget it. So, but how can Russia win? Can Russia win? Yes, just by staying in there for the long term and outproducing Ukraine, which over time they will. I've said this war is a lot like the war between the states. The South was winning initially, but over time they could not hold themselves up against the power of attrition from another country that had far more manufacturing power and far more people. You know, the United States had four times more people than the Confederate States. It had the factories. Ukraine don't have, you know, it's almost the same ratios between Ukraine and Russia. So how can Ukraine hold up against that? Only Ukraine will prevail only if the will of the Russian people to fight is not there. And that is it. If the Russian people don't want to do it, if the Russian people don't want to get behind Putin, then Ukraine wins. But if the Russian people get behind Putin, Putin will be unstoppable. And that, my friends, in the final analysis is why I think Russia put this territories in Russia. So now you say, guys, this is you. They're attacking you. This is Russia. These people, you know, Putin's initial speech was, we're all Russians. You know, this division between Russia and Ukraine is artificial. So he'll go back to that and claim to his people that, hey, look, this is us, this is our people, and they're attacking. That's kind of how the whole thing got started in the first place with Donetsk and Luhansk. Was, you know, they wanted to break away and Ukraine didn't want to let them. And according to Lee Wilbarger would tell us, well, that was all staged and by Russia, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't know, guys. I hear all this propaganda. But just bear in mind this, and I don't have to talk about this every video I do, because there's other things you need to be aware of, guys. But do be aware of this. Pay attention. Pay close attention, because your lights may go out. Know where your family is. Pay attention to those videos I did, what to do in the first 24 hours. What are you going to do to take care of your family? You better have plans for how you're going to rally your family together in the last minute when suddenly you can't communicate. Have plans for that. What do you do next? Start thinking it out. Plan. Who's going to get the kids from school? That stuff's in that little video I did with Stacy and Vicky, the first 24 hours, the second 24 hours. And look at my nuclear bug out video and my nuclear survival videos. You really need to pay attention to those. Go to my nuclear survival playlist. Okay, guys, I've beat on this horse enough for tonight, enough for 20 years. But I know some of this is going to keep coming back. I got other material I want to cover. I do. But we are in perilous times. We are in perilous times. Don't forget it. I don't know how much longer this world lasts. Hope it keeps going. I hope we can, well, I hope our civilization keeps going. Yeah, I don't want it to go. I don't want to see the order of the 2030, if you know what I'm talking about. But the set of read that's not so great. I don't want to say those things. You got to watch your keywords in here. But I believe that we can maintain our freedom if we stick together and if we don't get fried. Problem is, Ukraine and Russia are on collision course, and we're part of that. And I don't see at all NATO or Biden backing down from their side. Our friend David Pyne talks about how we can negotiate, how we ought to be able to get some peace. But I don't see anybody even interested right now, and it may be too late. Pray I'm wrong. Pray that that is wrong. Pray that's wrong. Anyway, guys, prep and pray that you may survive for a better day. With that, I'm going to say thank y'all for watching, and go out and hug your loved ones. Always tell your loved ones you love them. Don't ever forget that. I'm going to say, Greg out.